The Internship, a Hoffman and Sullivan novel. Written by Sarah Reilley. Performed by Carrie Coello. Prologue. James could feel her breathing behind him, despite the pillowcase covering her head. This one was special, he knew. She was small, blonde, and stunning. She hadn't fought much when he grabbed her. She'd come along easily. He'd followed her after school for a week and knew that her family wouldn't notice her missing for at least a few more hours. Apparently, 12 years old was plenty old enough to stay home alone. The girl was perfectly still, her breath calculated and calm. As they turned the corner to the large house on Cahill, he smiled. If he closed his eyes, he could picture the future clearly. This girl would be the first of many who would grace the halls of this home. And if she didn't like it here, she could leave. Just not alive. Chapter 1. Shelli Hoffman knew that this year was going to be different. She wasn't exactly sure why. Her gut just told her. There was a deep ache in her stomach when she thought about what her last semester of college would bring. She often thought she was going to vomit when she thought of the future. Only 5 months to go, and then she'd be a professional. An adult. Fully responsible for her own life. No more mom and dad to fall back on. While her parents had always provided security, they'd moved away the summer after she graduated from high school. She had relied on them far too much, even renting their house from them when they couldn't sell it. She was good with guided independence, someone to hold her hand along the way. The real difficulty had been in choosing a major. When reality called, she eventually settled on psychology, with an emphasis as a school counselor. Helping kids was her calling, but she didn't want to be a teacher. The responsibilities were too great, and she only liked kids one at a time. 20 kids at once was far too many for her taste. Sometimes she wondered if that made her a bad person. But now, halfway through her senior year, she was afraid she hadn't made the right choice. Her internship was starting soon, and while she had the grades to show herself capable, her confidence beyond the classroom was sorely lacking. She told herself it was this lack of confidence that created the unpleasant feeling in her stomach, but she wasn't fully convinced. She had a nagging feeling that this internship wasn't going to be entirely fun. She couldn't explain the fear, but it was there. Intuition, maybe? She worried that if she couldn't calm her own fears, how in the hell could she manage a student's crisis? As she pulled into campus to meet with her advisor, she took a deep breath, a long gulp of her lukewarm, stale coffee from yesterday, and smacked both hands on the steering wheel. Parking in the farthest corner of the lot, she figured the brisk walk in the January cold would give her a chance to collect her thoughts before entering the psychology building. Today, she'd find out where her internship would be, and if her credits from last semester kept her on track to graduate. With a 4.0 average, she knew the courses weren't going to be the deciding factor for graduation. It was this internship. She pulled her long, wavy brown hair into a loose ponytail, the fanciest hairstyle she'd ever cared to wear, and glanced down at her worn-out clothes. She looked and felt comfortable this morning, and that was all that mattered. Her boots crunched on the snow and ice as she scurried across the lot. It was early. Figuring that professors hadn't had time yet to become irritated with students, she'd always preferred to take the first appointment of the day. Professor Harris had always been her favorite, which is why she had chosen her as her advisor for the past few years. Professor Harris was young, maybe 40, and had a funny little streak of gray hair that stood out in stark contrast to her naturally black locks. She wore her hair in a loose bun, like an old lady. Her expression was always a bit whimsical, her smile slightly crooked, and her blue eyes were bright and wide. Shelli hoped
Sample complete. Ready to continue?